into traffic. Welcome all. Welcome to the jockeys, the ladies jockeys, the champions of Sheikha Fatma bint Mubarak World Championship. We welcome you all, the guests of Korea, and we can say we start. Dr. Abdullah, you have something to say.
Good afternoon, everybody. First, before we begin this executive committee meeting, I would like everybody to stand up for a moment of silence on the loss of our martyrs during the Yemen war. Please. Thank you. First of all, on behalf of myself and all present here, would like to offer condolences, sincere condolences to the leadership of this country and to the families and friends of our martyrs who lost their lives in Yemen war. May God bless their souls and rest them in peace. It is a difficult time for all of us here in UAE and in the Gulf region, sustaining this unwanted war, but we have been forced into it. So we are going to accomplish the mission successfully, and everything will be at peace and tranquility will be reinstated again in this area. So we'll come to the Sheikh Mansour's Horse Racing Festival. In November, we will celebrate the festival, the successful ending of the 2015 of the festival, and at the same time, we will celebrate the victorious mission of our troops in Yemen, hopefully. It is our great pleasure and honor to be part of this very successful and great festival, and we are proud of our partnership with Sheikh Mansour's Horse Racing Festival. It is the end of year one, but many things have been achieved. The UAE National Archives have been very well promoted around the world, and people now talking about us whenever we visit any archives in the world to collect the materials, the historical materials, many documents, many footages historically related to UAE and other parts of the world. They are talking about the festival and about our partnership with Sheikh Mansour's festival. This all has been done by a very close relationship with Lara, which is not only a business relationship, but it is a family relationship. So since we started this relationship, we enjoyed our very special friendship between me and her, and also with my family, who she met last month in Italy, but they became in love with each other. So whenever I am out and I want to skip her, I'll tell her I am with Lara. So she's so she is made assured that I'm in good hands of Lara. I would like to thank Lara, to thank the team working with her, very qualified team, to thank you all for your presence, for your time, for your efforts in making this festival a unique success. I wish you all a happy stay in UAE, and at the same time, very good meetings. And also, I think you will enjoy the exhibition, Abu Dhabi Equestrian and Horse Exhibition, which will start tomorrow. And I think the weather is becoming better now. We are not in August, we are in September. But in November it will be much better, we promise you. And also you can enjoy other attractions of Abu Dhabi and Dubai and the rest of UAE. There are many things to be offered here and to be seen. And I wish you all the best. This is a unique moment for me to be here with you and all of you and to know you closely. I have seen all of these footages and your efforts throughout many years with the festival, but it's for first time that I am here with IFRA. And I'm glad to be here, to be part of this team, and we will see you more often, and enjoy your time. Thank you.
Ahmed.
Thank you very much for this conference, and we are very happy that we all see you here and working on these new initiatives. Just before that, I need to introduce myself. My name is Ahmed Al-Fahim. I'm from TDIC, and of course we are one of the main sponsor of Sheikh Mansour Festival. And of course we are very proud to be part of this festival, and would like to thank also Lara for all this effort and initiatives to bring you all here in one room. I mean, not only the room here, and also internationally with the people, we see them through Skype. I hope this will be a good start for the new initiatives and a good foundation, and wish you all the best and success. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Remy, you can start, and after we can have Mubarak's word. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. There we go. Okay. Is that better? Okay. Let's go ahead and do a roll call, and then I guess we can have everybody introduce yourselves, so we can say match faces with names. But let's start off with a roll call that we have to have officially for the meeting. So Lara's here. Pat Buckley.
Yes.
I'm here. Alhan. Saeed Al-Shamsi, here. Gary Waterston. Marcel Boisseux.
He's not here, he cannot come.
Okay.
He has a race.
Zainab. Melissa.
Yes.
Okay. Keith Rowe.
Me.
Grant Harris.
Lara Mash.
Yes. DJ Budka. Okay. So we have a quorum. We can officially do business. And let's, I guess, go around the table so everybody say hello, so we can go ahead and get started. Let's start over on the left over here, and just go around one at a time and say hello to everybody. Let's start with, on your side, Enrico. You go ahead and start it off.
Yes, Enrico.
I have to introduce the people on my left.
Can you fix the voice, please?
I have.
There's echoes. No, not from you, from Bassam.
It's okay.
Okay.
Good morning. Thank you for the invitation. Ciao to the friends far from here. And on my left there is Ilaria. She is from Italy, and she is representing Endurance Evo, a magazine that talks about endurance around the world. And myself, my name is Enrico Querci. I'm from San Rossore Racing School in Italy.
Hello, thank you that I can be here. I'm from Germany, Kai Schermann, from the German Jockey School.
Not only this, you are the coach of all the apprentice jockeys of the World Championship of Sheikha Fatma also.
Yes, I am.
Thank you, Kai.
Hello, my name is Sarah Oliver. I coordinate the jockeys, both the amateur jockeys, the professional jockeys, and the apprentice jockeys for the Racing Festival.
Yes.
And I also run the Amateur Jockeys Association in England.
Hello, my name is Agnieszka Marczak. I am the president of the Polish Jockey Club. Thank you for today. Thank you for the conference in May. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Wojtek Bartoszek. I'm from Poland, from Totalizator Sportowy. I'm cooperating with Polish Jockey Club to organize the races in Poland.
Hello, my name is Stanislav Kucharik. I'm here on behalf of my sister, who is the Amateur Jockey Association founder in Slovakia, who unfortunately couldn't join you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Héctor Libré. No English, pero soy el director de la Escuela de Jockeys del Jockey Club de San Isidro en Argentina.
From Argentina. Welcome.
Muchas gracias.
I'd like to thank Hector and welcome him to the Middle East, his first visit here, and we hope he has a very successful mission. My name is Pat Buckley. I've been in Abu Dhabi for the last 25 odd years. I'm director of horse racing here, and I coordinate and liaise with our lovely Laura.
You're the vice chairman of IFERA.
And I'm the vice chairman of the, sorry, that's another thing. I sing at night outside the clubs to get a few dirhams, you know, but anyway, hope it's a very successful conference and that something good will come of it, which I'm sure it will.
Thanks, Pat. So we'll go to Alhan.
I'm Alhan Ahmed. I'm Treasury Head in Abu Dhabi Tourism and Culture Authority. I'm very happy to join, and it's my pleasure to join IFERA meeting. And thank you for everybody. Thank you for Lara and so.
Okay, I'll give you another. It's not working. Your mics.
Hi, I'm Gary Waterston from South Africa, Johannesburg Jockey Academy, and thank you, Laura, for the invite.
Thank you.
I'm sure we'll have a successful
welcome to Abu Dhabi.
Thank you. Meeting over the next few days and Expo.
Yes.
Thank you.
You have a huge stand, a nice, very beautiful stand for all of you in IFERA. It's in the main attraction of Sheikh Mansour Festival Hall.
Hello, my name is Zeynep Aldan. I am Apprentice Training Center Manager, Jockey Club of Turkey. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Kisan Kim from Korea Racing Jockeys Association. And this time I bring the Korean pottery artist, Mr. Kim Jin-yang, and Son Yuno, who gonna introduce Arabian horses the first time in the history. So he's gonna see some stud farms by himself. And it's my glory, and thank you so much for inviting us to be here. Yeah, we expect a good discussion with all you guys. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Norman Tan. I'm representing Malaysia, the Parrot Turf Club. I'm committee member of the Turf Club and the Racing Academy.
Thank you.
Oh, thank you for inviting us to this conference.
We have the lovely jockeys. This is Bushra from Morocco. She won Poland race. Then the beautiful, come, introduce yourself, yes.
Sorry. Is it okay?
Yeah, just put it near you.
Yeah. I'm Sabina, I'm from Denmark. I won the race in Bahrain. And
yes, she won the race in Bahrain.
Huh?
And Anna, the best Anna.
I'm Anna from Sweden, and I won the race in Melbourne, in Australia.
And thank you all for coming, because now we have also the press here, so we can start, Remy.
Okay.
We have all the press here, so they are listening to what is happening, to all our conversation and our discussions.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Everybody should have in front of you an agenda for today's meeting. And can you all hear over there in Skype land? Okay. You should have an agenda, and we have three things that we want to work on today. Number one will be the finalization of our Racing Scholarship Fund, and we'll start going over that here in a second. We're also going to talk about the November meeting, so everybody should also have a separate set of papers that covers some of what we're going to talk about for the November meeting. And the third element you should have here is some copies from Racewood Equestrian Simulators that Keith will talk to us a little bit about, and that'll be part of the November planning.
And this is Mbarak. Before we start, Yalla Mbarak. You will have 2 words to say. شو؟ بدك تروح على روح وتعال. السلام عليكم. بس. بونجور.
سالي غير الزيت.
رايح ريشة. Okay. Okay guys, do you see Mbarak near me? Mbarak Nuaimi oversees promotion and all TCA overseas and all the offices of Abu Dhabi overseas director.
First of all, I would like to say thank you very much, and my pleasure to be here with you today. On behalf of Abu Dhabi Tourism Authority, then we are so proud to be here. Then we are always here to support His Highness Sheikh Mansour Festival and our mother Sheikha Fatma. So wherever this festival is going, we are always there and supporting worldwide. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh. Okay, Remy.
Okay, so let's go ahead and get started then, if we can. So we're going to start with the Racing Scholarship Fund. Let me bring everybody up to speed on where we're at. A year ago, Laura generously donated to the International Federation a fund for us to use for racing scholarships. The idea here is going to be to select between 10 and 12 young men and women from our member racing schools. We're in the process now of receiving applications. Everybody should have received by now copies of the various documents, which would be an overview of the Racing Scholarship Fund, the application, an agreement, and a sample resume format. We've already received 2 applications already that I've received and have on file, and our deadline now will be October 15th, the deadline for the application. So we encourage all the members to go ahead and send in those applications, or have your students, your worthy students, send in applications so that we can start processing those. The goal will be to have a list of final 10 to 12 applicants considered and selected by our November meeting, if not before then. So we'll have between October 15th and November 3rd to do the final selection. Let me go ahead and pass this on to Melissa, who's been doing all the hard work. Melissa and Don have done a great job with their committee on looking at the application forms and getting them finalized. And let's go ahead and have you, Melissa, on behalf of you and Don, talk a little bit about the process and where we need to go from here.
So Dawn's on apology. She had another meeting today, so she couldn't make it. We had a Skype call earlier tonight. The one thing we did discuss, Remy, was in regards to the not maybe having a fixed amount, because obviously exchange rates are going to be different between countries, so potentially that could be a disadvantage for some countries. Like Australia, the exchange rate's not very good with a lot of countries. UAE probably compared to like European countries, and so that was just one thing we thought it probably really needs to be considered on an individual basis when we get our applicants finalised or our scholarship recipients finalised. So we probably can have a rough amount that we, like Grant had a bit of a ballpark figure based on something they'd done, but we'll probably have to treat each scholarship recipient pretty individually, I think, in regards to where they're coming from and where they're actually going to go to. And we hadn't discussed any further than the actual final process of, I think the next step is to get all the applications in, and then we'll review them. The committee will review them from there.
Okay, well, very good. Thank you, Melissa. And in line with what Melissa is talking about, I've spoken with Alhan here for a few minutes, and if we can work towards a maximum amount, like a range, but not to exceed a certain amount, so that there's enough funds to go around for all our candidates, we can work out here this week a system for how the funds should be distributed, so that way it can be done with an eye on transfer rates and things like that. Because in certain cases, and Grant, I've looked over what you sent, and also Keith had sent some numbers, but you know, what we can do now, once we satisfy the question of, for example, insurance, then we can come up with an exact amount. So I would suggest that, you know, let's, as you said, let's work on the candidates for now, and then we can figure out a maximum amount down the road. Now, the other thing I would suggest is how we process this. This is an important question. I think it's important that we simplify the process, that IFRA doesn't get into too much detail. I mean, we set up the mechanism, but I believe it'll be important that the home racing schools of a successful candidate play an important role. So if one of my students is selected, then I work with Alhan and with IFRA directly on how to manage the record keeping, receipts, all those important things, so that everything is done properly. So as opposed to a scholarship which is awarded to the student directly for tuition, here it would go to the home racing school of the selected student. Does everybody agree that that's a proper way to go? I think good.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So.
Yes, we agree too.
Okay.
And that was Dawn's opinion as well. Makes it easier.
Okay. Yeah, fewer moving parts will make this a much more manageable process. I think based on those two things, and the work I'll do this week with Alhan on setting up the detailed system, I think we're moving along in the right direction on this. So again, everybody, we need to get your student applications in. We need to select 10 or 12, you know, really good students. We need more applicants than that. So send them on in, please. Let's talk a little bit about insurance. Sarah, you and Grant have done some great work, and Matt as well on the spreadsheet. But I think one thing we want to look at perhaps is, based on your numbers, which are focused on a race day basis. So in other words, a rider arrives and the insurance coverage for accident is covered on when they arrive at the racetrack and when they leave. Can we derive from that an accident policy that would be for a basic one without, you know, race day riding? In other words, if a student wants to go to learn to be a trainer or to be a non-riding internship where there's not as much risk involved, can we come up with a baseline amount just for travel and normal accident coverage, and then layer on top of that an added amount for kids who are going to be doing riding? In other words, you know, and then have liability as well, of course. But is that possible to do that?
I'm sure that they can provide whatever you require. We cannot hear you.
No, I can't hear you.
Hang on, we're getting the microphone going. Okay, Enrico's is working. There we go.
The insurance can be tailor-made to exactly what you require. So if you specify exactly what you want, then that can be done.
And Matt, are you on?
No, not really.
Okay. So what we'll need to do then is, if we'll work together, and so the work you've done so far is important. Okay.
Are we talking insurance based on the students that are that's what we're talking about, okay?
Yes. Oh, repeat that again, Matt?
Could you just repeat what you said, Bernie, in regards to the insurance for the students?
Okay, what we want to try to do is, because we'll have a variety of students, they're not all going to be riders, or majority will be riders, but for those who are going to go for a training job, we want to come up with a more basic insurance package, which would include travel and accident coverage, just like any kid who would be going for school for biology or chemistry, what have you. Okay, so the basic foundation one, and then also liability coverage, so that needs to be in there. And then we start with that, and then what we do is add on a premium on top of that for any students who are going for a higher risk mentorship, so those who would be riding out just for training. And then the third level will be those who are riding out for training and maybe riding in a race. Because I think those are the 3 levels of risk.
Yes.
The kid.
No problem.
So, the question on students that are not riding, but I guess we don't have income protection. That's what we would look at. You know, we provide income protection at home. So if I guess at the end of the day, if they know exactly what they are providing, the insurance cover provided to them, they can top up. That's, I guess, that's what we're looking for.
Yes, they'd be insured for riding out, which would actually guarantee that they had payment if they were disabled temporarily. Although normally, when you actually have a claim for injury from riding out, there's a 28-day cooling off period. So there would probably be a 28-day gap before they actually started to receive payment. But I'm just going into technicalities now, but the insurance is no problem at all.
Okay, great. Because what we're looking at are, the fundamentals we're looking at are an 8-week coverage period, unless it's cheaper to do year-round. But 8 weeks, it's based on 10 to 12 students, and it would be for a variety of occupations that include non-riding occupations as well. So that might change things a little bit, but if you can go back to your insurance providers and give us a proposal, then what we can do is we can add on to that for more high-risk internships.
Yes, obviously the countries that are involved will dictate the cost of it, because I know that as soon as America's involved, costs rise enormously.
Thank you very much. But I did look at that in your proposal, so yeah, we have to address all that. Does everybody kind of follow? We're talking about insurance coverage for the students when they travel abroad. Does that make sense, Matt?
Yeah, it does, Bernie. Yeah, I think so.
Okay. And then one final thing here on the cost. I think that, Grant, you put into your proposal wages that you reimbursed for a student that went on an internship. I think that's where we want to get into a range, because, for example, if I have a student going for an internship, all they would expect to be reimbursed would be for room and board, travel, and maybe transportation in the country, and not necessarily wages. So that's where we might leave a little room in the scholarship amounts, that mine might cost a lot less for my student going overseas, whereas Grant, you might be more, so we'll be able to adjust that based on each racing school. Does that make sense? Okay. I'll take that as a yes. All right, so let's go around the table. Any questions, any concerns about the question of the application process and where we're going as far as the cost for each internship, which would include, again, travel, visas, room and board, and basic insurance coverage. Have we missed anything? No, okay. All right, how about over there in Skype land? Any other comments on that?
The only thing I thought would be today, we were having a discussion about if we were sending a write-up, that I didn't put on a form was nominating the time of year that would be preferable for them, because, you know, we talked about all of the recipients coming in November, but it would be over the next 12 months that those scholarships would take place. So it might be useful whether we send an email out or change that document just to say nominate the time of year that they would be looking as well, because that's going to depend on how we match them up to.
Yeah, and I think timing-wise, actually, it's working out well, because if we have 10 to 12 finalists in November, I agree it should be for the following year, and in every fall, every September, we try to locate new candidates. But if there's a better time of year for that, deadlines and all that, we can discuss that in November.
Yeah, I think we've got that timing right, but say for us, like if we were sending a writer, we'd probably look at sending them now, so we'd be suggesting for us, if we had a successful candidate, they'd be looking at going in August, September 2016, and what country would be able to accommodate that need as such. So the successful applicants nominating.
I think a staggered approach is fine, as long as we track them. Yeah.
So, Remy, one thing I'd like to ask is it still the intention that we bring our chosen candidates with us in November?
Yes.
Lara said yes.
Yeah, okay. So Richard here and I think we have identified a young lad who's keen to spend some time abroad. We think it would do him an immense amount of good to do so. What do we need to do prior to November when he gets on plane with us?
Well, first of all...
What?
He's like your nomination, but we could have 20 countries nominating.
So are they bringing them or not? Is it all someone?
Yes. When there's successful 12 applicants, there's 12 successful scholarship applicants will come, yes.
So when do we need to...
Sorry, I didn't get her.
But that person doesn't get the scholarship this year.
Yeah. So what do I need to do between now and November?
Well,
put forward your nomination.
Okay, but Melissa, you said 12? But if you have 20 countries that submitted, what you will do?
I think our decision was in the first year not to limit it, but also not to do 25 or 30 that we're not going to be able to manage, because we want to make it successful. So we thought probably between, and I remember having a conversation with Pat, and like he said, we don't want to exclude a number of countries, but I don't think we'd want to do more than, and also financially we wouldn't be able to do more than 20 anyway. So I think we just have to wait and see when the applicants come in.
Okay, and if you have, like, for example, 20 applicants.
Yes.
So I didn't understand what about the number of 12.
Well, we talked about...
Because we need to also remember that there's part of the GCC countries that also have, like we might think of tomorrow announcing something important in our press conference, to have as much as applicants of jockeys who would love to participate in order to have new riders in the United Arab Emirates. So this, like, for example, there can be some countries from the GCC. So I think maybe if we put as a number of 20, and then if we see the need of having our children to be part of it, we will have to put some more in order that these boys or girls can go also and take part with everyone else, because this is an opportunity to have in-countries riders. Because like we only have 2 riders in the United Arab Emirates, 1 professional and 1 apprentice. We want to have more apprentice jockeys in the UAE. We want to have ladies jockeys in the UAE. But this all depends on the announcement, what we will announce tomorrow as Festival of Sheikh Mansour in the first press conference, is to invite make an invitation for some riders that intends really to take it seriously and to participate, to ride as a jockey, as a professional apprentice, to go to school with a young age, in which that the GCC also enables itself to have also some new jockeys to go to your bigger school. You know, you have great schools, we need to exchange the program. We will take a number of 20, but I think if we can only open it like for the GCC, we need to look at it in a point that we do not want, we want to include them. If there is, like, for example, in Bahrain, students that needs to go also, we want them to be included. So what we can do is just like say, 15 or 16 or 17 from all the countries applicants, and we can have like 3 to 4 to 5 applicants from the GCC, which enables also the GCC to be part also of this foundation, because this is what it is all about, IFRA. It's to put hands together, GCC plus all the international world, in order to have great jockeys afterwards to participate. So tomorrow we would have 2 and 3 jockeys in the UAE participating. If one is sick, there's another one. If one is not going somewhere else to ride, there's another jockey that will ride. But at the end of the day, they come up from a school that is really going to support this jockey in order to be a good apprentice, to start working with a trainer and have a scholarship. So if everybody agrees, we just limit the number to 17 and
No, well, we definitely were expecting, because everyone, and part of the application is that you have to have been at a racing school. So I would think there would be minimal that are coming from outside of being a jockey. I would expect that the majority of the applicants are apprentice jockeys. I'm not sure. We hadn't considered that. Oh. Yeah, that'd be totally different, because that would. Yep.
I think, Mel, if I can say, I think that we would find that most applicants that we would possibly consider, there's two sides to it. We would consider applicants and we can only speak from Australia, is that we would choose a guy that maybe was an established apprentice that might be looking to have some international experience. But also I can understand where you're coming from, Lara, that if we've just had our applicants put their applications in for the new season for 2016 apprentice program. Now, there might be some guys there or girls for that matter, that don't fit the bill to be in the short term to be apprentice jockeys. But we might look at them and say, okay, you guys have got, they want to be involved in racing. They want. And they want to develop their experience, and they want to, maybe they'll make a jockey, maybe they won't, but at the very least, they probably need the opportunity. So we look at it and say, okay, they could be identified as people that are racing industry people that potentially might not make jockeys, but they might make, licensed people, whether they make assistant trainers or whatever they develop into. Maybe they'll develop into jockeys, but they could definitely benefit from the experience of an opportunity to go overseas. Now, I guess that answers the question. When you look at someone that might have the desire to be a jockey, but needs more experience, and they might benefit from 8 weeks going overseas. Do you think that, Mel? Do you think?
Well, Lara, do you mean if you identify someone in the UAE that you would like to send to a jockey school who's not yet right? Like last year when we had Saeed come over, he was an apprentice jockey already. Are you saying if you're identifying? Mm-hmm. Mm.
I think we can accommodate someone coming from another jurisdiction to gain experience, whether they are going to make an apprentice jockey or a jockey long term, at least to get the experience of 8 weeks coming into the system, learning to be a racing person, whether they become a jockey or they become a stable hand or a racing identity or a licensed person in the industry. I think everyone is trying to upskill everyone, and we from our point of view, I think we definitely can provide that. I definitely think that, similar to what you're saying, when Saeed came, we are sending stewards to Dubai out of our own jurisdiction at Racing Victoria. We're sending a young guy who's a cadet steward who is going to Dubai to work in the next couple of months, which is a classic example. But what IPRA are probably trying to do are regulate it and do more of that and regulate it. That's what I would say.
Championship. But if you look at her country, now they are developing. Because of Bushra, now they are insisting to have other girls send them to schools. This is why when we are all part of IFHRA, we look at it in this way. Maybe we can say, let's say 17 for the normal apprentice education, whatever, 5 or 6 to new candidates that are not apprentice jockeys, wants to go to school to be, for 1 year, to be an apprentice jockey. What do you think, guys?
I think that we don't disagree. I think
no, maybe because I don't want to I don't want to mislead Melissa. Melissa has done a great work, and Don has done a great work. But what do you think of this part, Melissa, into including new candidates. Like, for example, they're not apprentice jockeys. They're just boys or girls that wants to be apprentice jockeys. And we can include them as 5 to 6 students that will go to the schools, part of the scholarship. And we have 17 that are really what you have planned, you and Don, being also already apprentice jockeys, wants to be farriers, vets, whatever it is, or apprentice riders. I don't know. It's...
Okay, so just to recap, what's being proposed then is beyond the 10 or 12, we're going to have 17 overall candidates plus 5 from the GCC, and of that 22, then what we're talking about is among that 22, 5 would be kids who are not currently in a racing school,
yes.
but are prospective racing school candidates. Do I have that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So, Melissa, you understand what we're talking about? Do you have any objections on, of the 22 now? Well,
no.
They would be going for riding out for a trainer to get that experience. So as Lara said, they could be endurance riders, people with maybe prior experience but have never been to a racing school but would like to maybe go. And so they would go for 8 weeks for initial experience, and then eventually, hopefully, they would go on to a racing school somewhere to continue.
Just to help you there, again, we might have a template. We already do quite a lot of, we have a fair number of what we call international paying clients that come to our foundations courses during the year. So we have a 14-week, a 9-week, a 4-week foundation course which teaches people to ride thoroughbred before we place them into the industry in this country. We've had over the years Japanese, Omani, Indian, private payers who come onto those courses and then they leave and go home. Sometimes if their visas allow, we can get them a job in this country, but often their visas don't allow them to stay, so they return home. But they come here for an initial period of training. They haven't been necessarily to a riding school in their own country. Sometimes they're not, sometimes they come with a degree of expertise. So we already sort of do that, but their parents pay. This would be obviously picked up by one of the scholarship funding.
Okay, yes, I got grant. Does Australia do this, Melissa?
Changing over, so, and we're going through a lot of changes with licensing and everything at the moment anyway in regards to track riders and things, so it just depends on who the applicant is for us, but what Grant's talking about sounds probably appropriate and along the lines of, I think, what you're looking at doing, which is good, I don't have a problem with it.
And Keith?
What Grant is saying is that depending on the level of skill of the applicant, we could quite easily place an applicant somewhere in a stable to commence, that low level track rider, based on their level of skill. But as far as the education and the schooling, that's right, 100%. It's not a schooling, but it would still be regulated with that in place in a stable that would. So I can understand what Grant's saying, but Grant obviously with that racing school set up that they had in the UK, they then provide the skill and tick them off on all the skill level. We wouldn't be able to do that in the short term, but we would, based on the level of skill that they've got, we would be able to place them in the stable and say, okay, this is this person's competent level, this is where they're at, we want to give them 8 weeks experience, try and upskill them to
And that's a very good point that Matthew's making, because for our school, for example, I have a real difficulty in retaining students to keep their courses, to take equine studies courses, and to get their certificate with college credit. If they knew that they could only go for 8 weeks and work for a trainer and just ride out and get their license eventually, then I would remove the incentive to keep them in school to get the extra knowledge that down the road they could use to become a trainer or things like that. So that's the balance we have to kind of look at, that if it's important for me that they have education beyond riding, so that if they get hurt someday, they have something else to fall back on. I lose that ability, that leverage, to keep them in school for a year or a semester, if they know that they can do it in 8 weeks and leave with experience.
I think there was something in South Africa also, because we know that some UAE students has already went to your schools in South Africa, no? Like Ahmad Al-Shbi, he started in South Africa, no? And then he continued maybe in Ireland, something like this. And you had Fatma Al-Mirri going to you, and you had some Saeed Al-Mazrou'i. Do you do this thing, like, they are endurance riders, but they have no total, like, Saeed is another story, but Fatma Al-Mirri was taught and she started with us. This is why she went, but she's an endurance rider. Who we're looking at is like Fatma Al-Mirri. Fatma is a good endurance rider, but she was the first lady jockey with Shadra Al-Hajjaj, who both trained together. And then Fatma Al-Mirri went to your school, and Sheikh Hamdan sent her to your school in South Africa. So are you able to accommodate such, like Grant can, you can, maybe Keith? Do you have any idea, Keith?
Yes, sorry Laura, I missed some of that. It's hard to get the exact, hear everything, but I think the idea of, just like in the UK, certainly in Ireland, we could facilitate somebody who is coming for a short stay, and it would be important, I think, particularly if they're changing disciplines, that they would have the opportunity to get some training. You wouldn't just be putting them into a yard. You'd be giving them largely a training program for the 8 weeks. But the longer term issue of whether candidates could do a full training program for an apprentice, I think that's probably another program, that's a different thing. This scholarship probably is best suited almost as a trial or a pilot for such people, to see if they might be suitable for something longer in the future. So that'd be my view, that we can certainly take people, but if we limited what you could do if 8 weeks is the max. Is 8 weeks the maximum time to do it?
Well, we came up with that number because if you're transferring a student from one country to another, they could come in under the work visa requirements. So they could travel to a country under a tourist visa, and then you don't worry about a lot of the paperwork of the work visa situation. But it could be longer. But I think we got to stay on track as far as I don't know if we've got a lot to work on, and I think we have some great ideas. I think what Larry's suggesting is great, to expand, so long as we can budget the right amount and, more importantly, get the right candidates, the right students who will present themselves well on behalf of IFRA. That's the key thing. If we have 22 wonderful kids, young men and women of the different disciplines, great. But we have to make sure the quality is there, because then we set the right example for the trainers who will be hosting these kids, who will come back and say, this is a great program, send me more kids next year. That, I think, the first year is vitally important. And then we can grow and grow and grow, but first impressions are very important. And if our name is on it, and we send a kid who is a bad representative, who doesn't show up for work, goes out, gets crazy and all that, it's a reflection on IFRA. Not necessarily on that school. So I think that's going to be the most important thing is let's look at the applications and look at all the quality of the students that we have and their resumes and if they do a good job, and then I think we can build something wonderful, including having maybe 5 kids who are going to be going for, let's say, call it a screening mentorship to go to a trainer to evaluate that young man or woman over a period of 2 months and say, this young man, this young woman has a great promise. They ought to go to a school for formal training, or maybe not. So it can be looked at as a screening process for future talent. I think that's a great concept, but I don't know if we'll be able to really figure it all out here today. But we can work on it.
Okay, so let's work on the number they worked upon. We do not want to take this number from the main number that we agreed upon, 20, because we are, mashallah, 34 countries, and now we have more countries coming in November, so this would be a good number. And what we will do is that the Festival of His Highness Sheikh Mansour bin Zayed, we will support 5 kids that will go to the schools and start as jockeys, and mainly to support, very highly support, maybe like Slovakia. I don't know if they already have or they don't have, but I think they have some jockeys, but they might need more jockeys. We will see, like some countries where we look at, we make our, we talk to all of you, maybe all the members of IFERA can send the recommendations to you, Remy, and we as GCC, we as UAE, we will have after tomorrow, we will announce an invitation for real jockeys, like endurance riders, or these things that are really willing to be apprentice jockeys, in order for us to look at them, who's the best candidates and fit within the criteria of an apprentice jockey, and then we can go ahead and sponsor those 5 kids and make sure that they can go to any of the schools that can accommodate new kids to be apprentice jockeys. So we will not take the number 20 out. You can stay on the number Melissa, but what we will do is that we, on top of the 20, we will support 5 more kids from UAE or other countries in order to be enroll in an apprentice jockey. Okay. Like a new thing what we talked about. So this has nothing to contradict with the main concept of what you started with, Don, on the other stuff.
And what I'll do for Grant and Keith and Melissa, I'll put and everybody here, I'll put all these notes together in a memorandums, and I'll get that circulated around to everybody by the end of the week, so we have it in front of us in black and white, because I've been taking notes on this, so we can go from there if that's okay with everybody. But I think it's a great idea.
Thanks.
Can I just ask a quick question, Remy? It might be the next point on the agenda, but can you just clarify for me who the selection committee is when all the applications come through by the middle of October?
Well, we actually haven't gotten to that yet, but I would suggest that, at least initially, that we can work with, what we can do is...
the committee can raise it to the EXCO, and the EXCO can vote on the applications. This is how it has to go. Okay.
Let me go ahead and... what Lara was just saying is that normally, based on our statutes, a committee is suggested to the executive committee, yes, and then it's forwarded on to the General Assembly.
Yes.
I'm sure that we can certainly do that by email if we have some ideas of people. But I would suggest that with the work that Melissa and Don, for example, have done so far, that if we want to certainly add a few people, but you as well, Grant. We've got the makings of a good selection committee already.
Yeah, I just think that obviously smaller the better. Trying to do something with huge numbers of people making decisions is that's how decisions don't get made, really. I would think if you've already got the academic committee, maybe they should
So is your suggestion then that we have our academic committee serve as a selection committee?
We need to look to at. You need to look at the statutes, Remy.
Making comment on, it's terribly difficult if you've got lots of people trying to make decisions.
But it's not lots of people, Grant. It's you yourself. You're on the EXCO committee. Everybody. It's the executive committee who will need to give. I'm saying it's the executive committee of IFHRA who will make the decision. So it's not lots of people. So we look into what the recommendations are, and you are part of EXCO committee.
What Lara suggested is that with the executive committee, we have...
because any part of this has to go through the executive committee of IFHRA. Any committee has to go back to report to the main committee, which has a chairman, vice chairman, secretary general, treasurer, and everybody on the board. It cannot go with a committee alone. Okay, I'm saying, can you hear? Yes, yes. Okay.
Okay, moving on then, we are going to talk about the pre-planning for the November conference. So in your packet, you should have an overview of the conference. It's titled November 3rd, 10th, 2015, and it's got a preliminary itinerary on the top. And then what I've done is taken five different topics that we developed that Melissa received from her committee, and one that was added on by Didier. And so what we want to talk about right now is to review, discuss, and hopefully finalize the topics, and also to discuss a few of the specific speakers. So in particular, well, for one thing, we have a keynote speaker, and thank you, Grant, for lining him up. But Simon Milton is a former professional soccer player in the Premier League. He does a lot of speaking engagements with young athletes. I think it's a great idea to have a professional athlete from another sport to come and talk to our kids about how to manage their careers and how to successfully develop a professional career as an athlete. So we'll have Simon as our keynote speaker. Then the other topic areas are, the first one is building a better jockey. I kind of tried to come up with some fun titles. You can disagree.
I will send you the titles, because the titles of last year were great. So it was easy for even for the press, when you are moderating.
Okay.
You have the press needs to have like a touching title to work on it, to write more about it, and to be keen in order to come and sit and listen to it. Okay. So we will go with it, but just if you, like last year, we will have 2 days of IFHRA, like everything related to the conference of training and education. And there is 1 day for the breeders where everybody needs also to understand what's happening. We want to get 2 panels for the breeding of Arabian racing, where we will have some of the UAE breeders also integrated and come along, and also because they're concerned also in what is happening in the world with their jockeys, because all of them use apprentice jockeys or jockeys. So they really are keen to know more about what is happening in both things. So this year the conference will be 3 days, will not be 2 days. It will be like an assignment. Maybe we'll try to put 1 breeding session in 1 day, another something related to breeding in the other day. So there's a good energy mix between all. So it's not 1 day, tomorrow everybody say, oh, it's breeding, we don't come. No, we want all to know what is happening. Even when you want to talk about jockeys should understand about what they are riding. The breed itself also is important, a key knowledge for them to understand that You know, today the festival of Sheikh Mansour is all about Arabian horses. So this is also important for knowledge for those jockeys who may not have ridden too much in their lives for Arabian races, you know?
Okay, I think what we need to, first of all, develop our details as to, for example, on the latest techniques and tools for better riders. Let's start with that as a first point. So Keith has sent us a proposal from Racewood, Racewood Simulators, and you all have a copy of that.
No, we don't have.
Oh, okay.
It's okay. We will look into your
Okay.
paper.
What Keith has proposed is the idea of having these racing simulators brought in. These are wonderful simulators in that they have a screen in front, and so they're really a pretty amazing piece of machinery. Keith, you want to talk to everybody a little bit about this proposal? Are you there, Keith?
Yeah, sure, Brian. I think in our previous discussions we were agreeing that it would be great to bring an interactive dimension to the proceedings, and also as a way of giving some very practical professional development to all the riders who are going to be there.
Lady riders, amateur riders, etc. And certainly these, having the facility to use this bit of equipment would assist both in the jockey coaching aspect, where you could get some very practical
coaching done from some top riders and some jockey coaches. And also then from the fitness and conditioning point of view, they're very helpful and could be very useful for illustrating some different fitness regimes for the participants. And the other thing is that what Bill Greenwood has proposed is that he could come along, he could bring two of the, if you like, coaching simulators, and then 3 or 4 of the fitness simulators, but he can also set up, as you'll see in the written proposal, he could set up an area
enable us to have not just a practical
training dimension, but also to have a bit of visual fun and entertainment for all the participants as well, where people can effectively race against each other using the big screens. And this has been done before in other places for big events, and it has worked extremely well. So it might be something that would add dimension to the program, and I think it would be very helpful in conjunction with the emphasis of the practical workshops for all the participants.
How much does this cost?
Pardon?
How much does this cost?
I don't know, to be honest, Lara. I think what Bill would need is simply just the cost of shipping them, shipping the equipment and some help with the setup, and probably 1 or 2 staff that would come for a couple of days and participate. But I think he'd be keen to support it. It's obviously beneficial for his business as well to be there. So I doubt that it's going to be that expensive. There's just the physical cost of the transportation.
Transportation is no problem. We can transport this thing on us in November.
Well then I don't think there'd be a significant cost at all, because it's obviously it's in his interest as well from a commercial point of view to showcase some of the machinery. So I think it could be a win-win for everybody, you know.
Okay, but does this, this thing needs a place for its own? Because we really need to, all of you to know that this is a conference, and the conference will be, you will have around 1,000 people in this room, on this hall picked. There is 1,200 invitees for November. It's a huge number. So if you want to put like this thing on, we really need to have another room in order to put this mechanism, I think, because it's not a small mechanism.
No, and what I would suggest is, if you're in agreement with the concept, I can work with Keith on specifics on
Yes.
what he would need. But you're right, we would need a separate room because this would be a great
It's okay. It's no
workshop.
problem to find another room, or we can just come up with something with the hotel. We will see,
Okay.
because it's going to be in Alantara, and there will be a big number for the conference. We should really look into it to make it an enthusiastic conference in order to have key speakers. For moderators, we will have the big moderators coming to moderate these sessions. We'll have Derek Thompson, we have Liz Price, and we will have Gary Capel. Yes, and we will have the famous Pat Buckley to do one. Because he's a good moderator. Other than that, to have a moderator, we will have like one for Victoria Shaw from Australia. She's a great moderator, and and Philip Brennan. So all these moderators that have already conducted all the World Arabian Horse Racing Conference previously can be good moderators for the conference of Sheikha Fatma. Training and education for now, for
Good.
2015.
So if you all go to your page 2, on the top I put 2 discussion points. So as we go down the list, then Keith, I'll follow up with you and Bill Greenwood, if that's okay.
Could I just add something, please?
Yes. Yes.
Richard Parham actually produces racing simulators as well, which he's brought previously, which are quite light to transport. So, Richard, I mean, I don't know if that's another option as well as or instead of. Or...
Sorry, we can't hear you at all, Sarah.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying that Richard Parham actually produces these racing simulators as well. I just wondered if that was an extra or an option or an alternative.
But he's saying that he is willing to send, not
hang on a second, because you're absolutely right, but the ones I'm looking at are the large ones with the television screen, where they now, Keith, jump on and in, but is that what we're talking about, those large
Yes, well, I think what Sarah is referring to is that the Racewood training simulators, we can call them that, the fitness simulators, are similar to Richard's version. So they are effectively a fitness simulator with some added bells and whistles. The bigger simulators are like the coaching ones, are a different thing altogether.
And those are the ones that, so I can repeat, they're the size of a horse, and then you have a screen that recreates the race in front of you, so that not only are you doing fitness, but you're learning about strategy and things like that, right?
Yeah, we have them, we use them.
Okay. So, yes, go ahead, Grant.
Richard's had to leave. I'm afraid he's gone off to do some work. But I don't think he's... My main point is here, really, and it refers back to Simon Milton, and the points that you're discussing is that, Lara, if we are having 1,000 delegates in the main conference hall, we need to run a sort of, my view would be that we need to run a secondary, not a secondary, but a parallel workshop
Yes.
for the riders during that time.
Okay.
Someone like Simon, who's coming to talk to the riders, he's not about standing up in front of a crowd of 1,000 plus people. He's a motivational speaker and a sportsman. He needs to work in very small groups with the professional athletes, not talk to 1,000 delegates from covering a whole vast range of industries such as breeding and administration and things like that. So my view would be we would need at least one other room, and we need to run all these other courses, whether it be building a better jockey or working with the media.
Yeah, but this needs Keith, Grant. All these, between the 1,200, you have 440 jockeys. They are already there. Yes. 440 jockeys are arriving to UAE to Abu Dhabi. These jockeys has already participated in the World Championships. Yes.
Elite athletes and the chap from Aspect wants to talk about this.
Yes.
Liz Price can talk about media, but then really Simon.
No, Liz Price will be a moderator, not about media. Okay, what about if he can give his expertise this time, and then we can see how to do it along with coaching a small group after?
Well,
because I need to tell you something, guys. This is a conference, and it is for the guests who are coming, who are the jockeys that needs to understand, and it's not only about coaching a small group. This is the 1,200 people that are invited are all IFRA members, IFAR members, and breeders in the world, owners in the world, trainers in the world, jockeys in the world, because you will have the bigger scale of jockeys there for the world most expensive race on November 8, the 1.2 million euro. You will have the biggest jockeys of the world also taking part in the conference, giving their, like, for example, they can integrate their also personal experience to give all the crowd who is listening to this conference. This conference is a big conference, not small. It's as big as the World Arabian Horse Racing Conference grant. No, the simulators can be done aside in a room where he can get some jockeys to go there to visit and to like train against each other, and they will be filmed on TV. Maybe we can have it 1 day or 2 days in advance previewed, and then we can show it on the TV, on the screens in the conference when he's giving his demonstration. You get my point? You can have the simulators in another room, and we can have some jockeys, and the television will make a documentary of what is going to happen with the coaching system of those simulators and others. And then shown during the panel where he will be discussing his own interference.
I think that, and Grant, we've put on the page 4 your idea about having the main presentation and in the satellite room. I think that I don't see why we couldn't do both. Have a formal presentation and then having a shorter, workshop. For example,
a workshop should be done anyway. The workshop has to be done the last day.
Right.
Every conference has to have a workshop, and the workshop has to be done through for, if they don't, like they want only the students can sit. But you need to also know that there will not only be a small number of apprentice jockeys. There are more than the apprentices. Okay. There are the ladies jockeys that are already coming here, and you have the professional jockeys that also are coming.
I think, well, go ahead. Well, I think coaching. I have to agree with Grant in that the ability to have a side room where for example, the apprentice jockeys can do some simulator work or come.
How many hours in the day you need to coach for them? You need to coach them.
I thought that idea.
1 hour, so yeah, they don't need a lot of time on the horse. But I thought the idea of what Grant put together was a good one, to put them into groups and send them around, because I thought what our proposal was that having all those jockeys, like professional and amateur and the lady riders all there together, was a chance to learn off each other and from different countries, and riders being very practical and kinesthetic people need to be doing things. And yeah, we thought it was a chance. I guess the proposal initially was that whilst we had them all there together, it was a great way to share education and learning and professional development with them, which included. Oh, I thought we were going to have like a day or something for them to do stuff.
Eight is the race day. 9 is IFRA General Assembly. So which day would you think, or you can have like, because you need to, every day there's a big event happening for everybody at night. So by 7 o'clock things need to finish. So maybe you can do like every day coaching, instead of having one full day, have a coaching for like 3 hours and for 2 days at a row. I think it's better for everyone, and then they can also, everybody can be generalized and be in the big conference. The big conference is the big thing, and also what you're coaching is going to be filmed and shown on TV. This is what is it all about. Everything is on TV. It's the name of Sheikh Fatma there. It's training and education for those jockeys. But you always need to remember that it's a big amount of jockeys arriving, not small amount. You cannot discriminate jockeys, tell them, no, you cannot come, the others are into groups. You have a big amount coming. I'm telling you from now, guys.
Okay, let me suggest something here, because we, first of all, can we eliminate any one of these topics? We've got suggested topics. It doesn't mean that these all have to be in there. So we've just talked about the racing simulators, which is a good, something that we can coach, that we can do well. So I'm assuming that we're yes for the racing simulators. Liz Price will be here to talk about the media. So let's skip the fitness training for winners was something that was suggested.
Yes, fitness
However,
training is nice.
I think, but is it overlap with the racing simulators, or are we trying to do too much in 3 days?
No, I'll tell you one thing. This is what Keith has given us, this one.
Yes.
It's a very, very, very good idea, because it's something new.
So
we want new things. We will go for the media. Media is very important, because these boys and girls should know how to talk. When it comes, they don't need to freeze about camera. They all have problem with freezing and talking. When they win, they don't talk.
Okay, Lara, my point was number 5. We have the building a better jockey, which is riding technique.
Yes.
And coaching. Number 5 is fitness training, which is non-riding fitness. For example, how riders prepare in the gym without being on a simulator. So both
this one
of those,
is better.
Okay, so what I'm trying to say is if we can eliminate fitness training,
yes,
non-riding, it gives us
Where
more
are you
room.
reading?
If you look at your, on the back of it.
Yeah. Okay, let's eliminate this.
Okay, so Melissa and everybody, what we'll do is we'll take off the number 5 topic. I like that, but we're trying to do too much. So I think since we'll be hitting on fitness regimens on the racing simulator discussion, we can eliminate number 5 right now and focus on the Building a Better Jockey racing simulator coaching workshop. Number 2 is working with the media, and we'll have Liz Price.
Not Liz Price only. We will bring not only Liz Price. We have we will get the best media to sit with all of them.
Okay. Then let's skip to number 4.
Liz Price is a moderator for
Okay.
this session. You know, there will be a session about media, and this will moderate.
Okay, I'm just trying to break down to the topics that we're doing. All right, number 4, the nutrition panel, where we coach the riders not only about good nutrition, but for example, cooking for themselves so they can watch their nutrition and weight.
But this is what, in the conference, in the main big conference? If it's in the main conference, it's only one thing. It's the Liverpool John Moores University research. That's it. Right. That's the research, the scientific research, who is being conducted only for jockeys, and we are paying a hell lot of money to do this and to keep it on working, and it's improving, and it has improved many lot of jockeys, as well as Dr. Houtnate's program.
Okay, and that's
so
fine.
We keep this integrated.
Now, the thinking was based on that, perhaps doing a workshop afterwards with the students, the young kids, on for example, a lot of our kids that we have understand nutrition but never cook for themselves. They don't know how to do it. They go buy food and it's not good for them and all that. So maybe what I was thinking is having a workshop afterwards.
Maybe we can get the same doctors who has conducted this to conduct the thing. And Didier has asked one of his professors. He's more than welcome to sit on the panel.
Okay.
For Didier,
for the Dr. Sellier visual
he can be part of the discussion of the panel of the Liverpool John Moores.
Okay. All right. So let me recap. For November, we'll have, we're counting on Simon Milton
3 November
as a keynote speaker. So if we go back through the itinerary, arrivals will be November 3rd.
Yes.
This is the preliminary itinerary. Wednesday, November 4th.
Opening ceremony.
Opening press conference and reception. November 5th, 6th, and 7th will be the conference for education and training and the Breeders' Symposium.
Can I stop?
Yeah.
Can I stop you there? My point is that jockeys aren't necessarily that interested in the Breeders' Symposium. Could we use that day to do workshops?
Yes.
Young kids that have a limited attention span.
Leave the third day, which is on we will start 5 with the breeders. What we will do,
I'm having real difficulty hearing you now. Sorry.
What we will do, it's either we will now decide whether you will have the 5th for the breeder or the 7th for the breeder. So we start 6 and 7. We'll start the breeders for the breeders, or for everybody to see about the breeders. And you know, like there's a topic about cloning. Okay, this is what we're going to talk about: breeding and cloning. Okay, cloning. Cloning.
So the jockeys don't need to listen to that.
Okay. What we will do...
They could be with coaches on the simulators, listening to Simon Milton talk about professionalism in sport, listening to the French chap from AFASEC. They could go off and do
workshops in small groups rather than listening to breeders, which they're probably not very interested.
Okay, no problem. Okay. We will go for this, but we will do it. Which date would you suggest?
I would suggest the 7th.
7th. So what we will do, we'll start with 5th is the 5th, 7 is breeding.
Right. So
the workshop will be done in another area.
Right.
And how many jockey you need? You need all the jockeys, or you need? How many jockeys you need?
That would just turn into like a circus. You need a small group, each going to one of the 4 in turn for an hour to do some concentrated training. That's really, how you pick those, I don't know. If you've got 440 jockey bumps.
Grant, let me suggest this.
Maybe Matt's got an idea. It looks like Matthew's got an idea on that.
Well, Grant, hang on a second. Before we get bogged down into too many details, let's settle on the itinerary. So what Lara has suggested is that On the 5th and 6th, we do the conference on training with our panel speakers and everything. And on the 7th, we do the Breeders' Symposium and the workshops. And then we can work out as far as the details, as far as numbers and all that afterwards, but we just need to get everything down on writing. Okay, good. So then the topics will be what I call building a better jockey, which will be about simulator use, techniques, equipment, fitness, and Dr. Cellier on visual acuity.
That's for the workshop?
That would be for the workshop.
For the jockeys?
For the jockeys, and then working with the media will be another topic that we'll have. Nutrition with the Liverpool research.
Yes.
And I think that's
Dr.
it.
Hoot also, the NATE system.
Right. So, and then number 3, the role of visual acuity will fold in with one of the others. So, does everybody follow on where we're going for the meeting?
Yes.
Okay. And then what we can do is Grant and everybody, we can work out the details now that we know where we're going, as far as dates and times and all.
You can select one from every country. Very easy.
Okay. Let's see. I think that's. Does anybody have anything? We're doing all the talking. I'm sorry, but does anybody have anything to add to the discussion for the November meeting that we might have forgotten or left out? Or please go ahead and speak up. And we've come a long way.
Yes.
Which would require, people staying the extra day. Would it be possible to incorporate that to our General Assembly earlier into the program so that we'll be finished with the races for the Sunday?
Yeah, but it's very difficult, Keith. There's a big program, and General Assembly needs time. And normally it's done after a big conference. Because the General Assembly and after a big race. Like if our General Assembly is after the Longchamp Arc de Triomphe, it's always after the big race day. So everybody is calm and is not thinking of something else. You need to concentrate on the General Assembly. That's why it's very important to put it after the race day, which is on the 9th. Because 8 is the big race day, and all days long you have conferences, workshops, so there's no time for a General Assembly here. There's big gala dinners, there's everyday events, there's everyday parties. So it's a big festival for all of you in Abu Dhabi from November 3, the day you arrive, until you leave after IFRA General Assembly meeting even.
It's very, very difficult for me to take what would be a whole week out of my schedule. It's an incredibly busy time for us, that period. And I would look at, I have to be looking on a plate, I have to be looking to be away for a whole week here this itinerary, because we have to fly home on the Monday night, I think that getting home Tuesday, so a whole week. So if we could bring it forward, that would really...
Okay, forward when? Okay, Wednesday, which is Wednesday, what day?
November 4th.
We fly in
No,
on a Tuesday, conference on
yeah,
Wednesday.
but anything not after 5 o'clock. Everybody, we should finish the General Assembly early morning.
So, so Grant and Keith, then what we're looking at here is then moving the General Assembly to Wednesday, November 4th.
Yes.
At 10 a.m. or
9:30 a.m.
9:30.
Because we have preparations for a huge press conference, not in the place. It's outside. And okay, do one thing, because it takes time for you to 10.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll, unless anybody else has an objection, is everybody okay with moving the General Assembly to that Wednesday in the morning, and we'll have
No,
a final?
I will do the press conference late afternoon.
Okay. All right, so the General Assembly would be...
We are going to do the press conference of the whole event, the whole week of One World, Six Continents, Abu Dhabi, the capital, in the theater in the National Archive.
Do you have a time yet?
Let's put it, what time, doctor? 7 o'clock, so 6 o'clock, I think.
6 p.m.?
Yes.
Okay.
So after it, we can have a huge cocktail party after.
Okay, so did you guys get that, Grant and Keith and everybody?
Yes.
Yeah, and
If
Melissa...
this is okay with you, Melissa. It's no problem, 10:30. It's not a matter of 30 minutes, but just not for you and Matt to be running.
Okay, very good. So anything to add or anything more to discuss as far as the November meeting from anybody?
No.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the website. We've been, let's see, let me bring everybody up to speed, and then I don't know if Shahid is here to talk about it some more, but if you all go to the, when you get back to your laptops, I'll give you a quick update. I've been working pretty closely with the website developer, Shahid, and he's done some very good work. We've decided to try to refine it and to streamline the website. So if you get a chance later on, when you get back to your laptops, go back to the test site. I'll send out, well, there you go. It's up on the screen right now. And if you could go, here's what we've done. If you go to the home page, what we've done is done some links to the Sheikh Mansour Festival website. So you have direct links on the left, which show you dates and times and everything else. And on the right, we're connecting directly to press releases and photos. And our goal is to also incorporate that wonderful yearbook that Bharathi has developed, which looks great. And so we'll use a lot of the materials from the yearbook on there. As you scroll up, we have now under the home page, and it's still being developed, but it's come a long way. They've done a wonderful job with this. Under the home page, or actually, let's skip ahead to the About Us page. So if you go to About, then you can see an introduction right there. And below the introduction, we'll have a welcome letter from Lara. We'll have a list of all the member countries. We will have mission and vision, the board of directors, goals and objectives, and then the statutes, all available right there. Okay? And then if you scroll to the right, you'll have different category for when we build in classroom materials. And then if you go further to the right, I thought it would be a good idea to have frequently asked questions as its own area, because initially a lot of people have questions about IFRA and about the races, so we can do a lot of question and answer type of things there. And if you go down the page, let's go to the section about membership applications. Yeah, go to the home page and down to right there, member directory. Yeah, okay, there you go. So under the membership applications, we have a whole section there. So countries that are not members or want to become members, it's a big bullet point right on the home page. That they click to that, and there's a membership application available right there with instructions on how to become a member of the federation. So it looks like, I think, a really more streamlined website with more direct links to the key information. For example, Racing Scholarships is right there. The Wonderful Yearbook, which would be another big link right there. How to become a member directory, so they know who is a member and how to apply. So those are the 4 key areas, I think, that need to be the most prominent ones. And then we have wonderful links to stories and photos and videos, which we can build in. So that's where we're at right now. And I expect between now and anything to add or okay. I think that between now and November, we're definitely on the right track, and we've come a long way with the website. Anything that anybody wants to add or suggest, or we're always available. You all know my email address, right? So don't be afraid to send suggestions. It shouldn't be all about me all the time, but sometimes I'm waiting by my computer. I never see emails coming from you guys, so come on, send them to me with ideas and all that. But we've developed a lot of good new, a really nicely developed website. Anything to add to that? Okay. I think then that brings us now to any new business that we can bring from the floor from anybody on the executive committee. Okay. Hearing none, then I think anything else to add for the meeting, or is everybody as tired as I am? I've got jet lag, so.
Very sorry, but we haven't discussed insurance for jockeys.
Yes.
Race riding.
Okay, let's. That will come under old business, but it should be very important. But yes, absolutely. Let's talk about the insurance question. So, Sarah, or you want to?
Well, we were given 4 options by the brokers, and it's a question of which one we choose. And is this just for apprentices, or would it extend to amateurs as well? Because some countries don't have any insurance in place.
What I would suggest is that I've looked at the spreadsheet, and we can bring back, even between meetings, a firm selection. But if we can come up, if we can go back to the providers, you and Matt, and come up with that basic package that we talked about, so like it would be not as expensive as for riders. We know what that price is going to be. But if you can go back to your provider and ask them, can you add on another level, which would be just basic travel and insurance coverage? The liability probably is not going to change, but it's the travel and accident coverage that will. And then can we go back to them and have them send back something like that? And then I can send this out to the executive committee by email to come up with a decision before we get to November. Matt, does that make sense to you? Okay. Right. Okay. Sarah, does that make sense? Does that work? Okay, great. Anything else to add to that discussion? Are we on the right track? Okay. All right, then I think that, Lara, we're, anything to add?
Yes, 1 minute.
Okay. Lara's going to have a closing word, and then we'll
Thank
be
you.
adjourning.
We thank everyone. We thank also the 3 ladies jockeys who came only for us. You came tomorrow. It will be a great day for you. You will be 6 girls, but the world will be watching you live on TV. You will be unveiling the most important logo that we have worked on. It's the logo of Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan jewel crown. This is the world's richest Arabian race. It's Baba Zayed, most expensive race in the world for Arabian horse race. And you are part of it. All 6 of you will be wearing your country flags, and which we are all proud of you, because you are going to participate in the capital of the world, Abu Dhabi, in the finals with 13 other girls. 7 plus 10 other girls, because you're already 6. There will be 16 gates. 3 will be yellow cards, which we will announce the countries on Thursday and during the press conference in the morning. So all of you girls tomorrow be well prepared, because once the official ceremony of ADX will open and His Highness Sheikh Hamdan bin Zayed will arrive, you will be there to greet him, and with him we will all unveil the new logo of Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Jewel Crown. Thank you all. Thank you, Grant, Melissa, Keith, Matt, and everyone. And we'll see you soon in Abu Dhabi in November.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye, guys. Thank you. Have a nice day. Bye. Thank you, Shahid.
Lara, we have a presentation for you here.
Oh, thank you. Dr. Abdullah and Barak will take it with me.